I'm Chris from Index, just here to talk a little bit about our new multifunctional drilling fluids range. So drilling fluids are a necessary part of any exploration drilling effort. Drilling fluids have been around for a long time, but have probably been quite underappreciated, I would say. We use drilling fluids across different industries, oil and gas, civil, water well, and mining. But mining is probably one spot where drillers and resource companies alike probably haven't really appreciated the value you could get from running a proper mud program. Why do we care about drilling fluids? Number of reasons. We've got several key things that a drilling fluid can impact as we're drilling a hole. Most notably viscosity, hole cleaning, fluid loss control, lubrication, and encapsulation. Touch on a little bit of these in more detail. We've got fluid loss control. As we're drilling down a hole, depending on the geology, you're going to get water or fluids basically dissipating into the surrounding geology at times. So it's important to be able to monitor that and optimize from a fluid loss perspective. Lubrication, this is really around maintaining performance of our drill bit at the cutting face. So ensuring the right amount of lubrication is critical to extending bit life, improving rate of penetration. Encapsulation is another key thing that we want to consider when we're doing a drilling program. From a fluids perspective, we want to maximize core recovery. We really need to ensure we've got the right mud program catering for encapsulation. So with that in mind, there's quite a lot, as you can see, that needs to be considered. And for the average person that's not a chemist, this can be quite overwhelming. So we have a look here. A given drilling mud program has a number of things to be considered. If we look at a very brief case study, on the left we see a 2-rig program. We've got a mud program that's been built out by our fluid specialists on the right. But in reality, what's been happening across 2 different rigs, basically prioritization of certain parameters over others. So in the first case, rig 1 probably prioritized viscosity in terms of what they were looking to see from the mud programs. Rig 2 is the opposite. And yeah, essentially no one was running soda ash correctly. And yeah, the different rigs were focusing on the wrong things. Similarly, a more complicated mud program at a site in the US saw, again, rig 1 prioritizing fluid loss over the other parameters, rig 2 not considering encapsulation, and yeah, both of them neglecting lubrication. So what does all this mean with regards to our new multifunctional drilling fluid range? Really, we want to make it easy to use for drillers, taking the guesswork out of building out mud programs, maintaining those on site, and just simplifying the workflow essentially. We see a declining skill set related to drilling fluids, which needs to be addressed. It's a fairly complicated technical problem that we're putting in the hands of drillers, and we just want to optimize that and make it a lot easier. So the new Index multifunctional fluids range is really around streamlining that workflow all the way from the initial sales engagement, so quoting, through to actually getting out onto site, and every step of the way going with a multifunctional versus the traditional multi-product lineup has benefits. So Index's multifunctional range is the X-Form range, and what we've done is drastically or dramatically simplified the product lineup into three tiers, if you like. So we have the base tier. In the top example, we've got X-Form D, uh, moving up to X-Form D Plus, which is that mid-tier offering, and then we go into the premium range. So again, depending on what you're trying to achieve, we've got a three-tiered sort of simple breakdown of products. And if we go across, we can see those functions that we mentioned earlier, and you can prioritize based on what you need. So if you're doing a extensive diamond program, got targets with regards to core recovery, and you need encapsulation, looking down the matrix, you would see the liquid range of X-Form, so the L plus and the L currently ticking that box. In addition, you've got the viscosity function being catered for as well, and hole cleaning and lubrication. So very simple. And then we have our bentonite range as well, following that same pattern. So again, the low, medium and high performance range is replicated there. So back to the case studies we touched on earlier. What we found when we actually released the multifunctionals to these clients is that we went from a fairly complicated mud program that wasn't being adhered to very well, changed down to one product. So four existing products rolled into one. And what that did was eliminate a lot of the use of hazardous materials, 10% improvement to bit life, and 20% overall improvement to meters drilled per shift. We go to the US case study, and similarly, we now have a reduction of existing products down to one, so 5 to 1, which is fairly significant in itself. In addition, core recovery was recorded at over 90%, 30% reduction in torque, and yeah, depending on the rig and the day, anywhere from 35% to 48% improvement in productivity. So yeah, feel free to drop by the stand at IMARC. We're here. We can talk all things drilling fluids. Thanks.